Well, guys, we're headed to Arlington for the Big 12 championship. Clint and I discussed that and the incredible win over BYU. Also, former Oklahoma State cornerback Kevin Peterson joined us. All that and more here on the Old Poke Show. Welcome to the Old Poke Show. This is the show we talk to Cowboy legends from the past, the present, and review the OSU program going into the future. I'm your host, Deion Imade, alongside my man himself, Clint Chelf, number 10. What's up, baby?
I'm just going to open it up like this. I have a cough, and I want everybody to know that up front. I'm going to try to mute as much as I can. Those of you that have kids and the weather changing and stuff, you will understand this. So I just wanted to open it up like that. Let the disclaimer up front. But
we put a bracket in front. I have a cough.
yeah. Man, great. Feel great. We won. But it was pretty dicey there for a while.
Clint, your boy was nervous.
Yeah, that obviously we're gonna get into it, but that first half was brutal to watch. But no, a team that I think when we do the postmortem, when we do the recap on this season, resilient is going to be the first word that I think of with this team. And they were resilient again this game, and it was kind of a microcosm of the entire season. But they stuck with it. They've been blown out. They've been kicked. They've been down, and they made it to the Big 12 championship game,
and again, we're coming to you guys a little bit earlier this week to talk about the game, because there's going to be so much happening on OSU Max all week leading up until this Big 12 championship game in Arlington. But we wanted to kind of celebrate the victory and then put it behind us and then move on to Texas. Before we do that, Clint, I'm telling you, my heart was trying to hop out of my chest so many times during that game, because I was just like, bro, we have to win. We have to take it. We cannot see our Big 12 championship hopes squandered against a BYU team. And credit to them, because the coaching was superb. They came out in this ball game and were like desperation mode on 10. Like, we will do whatever we have to do to win this ball game. And you saw it on special teams. You saw it offensively. Defense's game plan was pretty top notch. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see more of that coming up in this week's game in the Big 12 championship. It was impressive. I'm not going to lie. It was impressive. But in the second half, the Cowboys came out with a different energy. And I think, that stamina, that conditioning, them just being a better equipped team to play 60 minutes of football kind of won out towards the end. And 60 minutes plus, because, overtime. Who would have thought?
Yeah, you can only throw so many kitchen sinks, right? They came out, and I said this on Twitter, with all that's happened, that was one of the worst, considering the circumstances, one of the worst halves of football that we've had this year, and we've had some bad ones. So to see them rebound from that and make the adjustments was again really, really cool, and a testament to the resiliency of these guys, the coaching staff making the adjustments. But just, you talked about the moment a little bit, and losing to the BYU team, but also, allowing OU to go. It just wouldn't have sat right with me. So I'm glad that they were able to pull it out at the end, because that was a big part of it. As a person from Oklahoma, man, it's tough. It's tough if that would have gone the wrong way.
I do want to touch on that a little bit. Like, as much it was like gut wrenching for us to kind of be a part of that as Oklahoma State alumni, to kind of witness that game and be on like the edge of our seats for the most of the second half. It at the end, when we got the W, you look back and you're just like, the fact that we allowed those Sooners to get to be so hopeful. Oh my God, they're gonna pull it off for us. BYU's gonna help us out and allow us to be in the Big 12 championship. To just realize the hope that they had, and to see it go away in overtime on a win like that, it was just like, You know what? It was worth it. I'd rather win like that than a blowout and them just be like, oh, God, we're not going.
And not just the hope, but knowing that they had to watch that whole game. Watch us just constantly shoot ourselves in the foot, just try to do everything we could to lose. And they had to watch till the final second. It was kind of beautiful. I mean,
It's like it's that Seinfeld episode, man. It's the hope. It's the hope that kills you.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Nothing like unfortunately, you know, we're gonna revel in it. Man, you beat the Sooners, you know, in the season, and then you get an opportunity, just another chance to, you know, give them a little gut punch on the way out the door. So, you know what? I'm not mad about giving BYU a run for their money like that.
And make no mistake, joking aside, BYU has been playing better football. I mean, they played the game that I watched the week before against Oklahoma is a game that they could have very easily won. They had the 100-yard pick six. They had another turnover, I think, on the next possession. But they have been playing better football. So it's not just like you know, a team that is as bad maybe as their record indicates. They have been playing better, especially they made the quarterback switch. We know what kind of issues having a rushing quarterback can pose to this defense and to a lot of defenses. So definitely hats off to them. I felt like everything I heard, by the way, that their fans were great. I thought they carried themselves very well on the field. So I do want to give a shout out to BYU. I thought that was I'll be excited to go play in Provo and hopefully maybe get to travel there. So shout out to them. But we can get into the game if you want. If you want to start on defense, kind of what were your, I guess, overarching takes? You can get into it a little bit if you'd like. What do you think?
I kind of want to talk about the first half and then talking about the second half, if that you don't mind, Clint. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, that's very cool.
The way things went defensively in the first half, I don't think Oklahoma State played a terrible game defensively in the first half.
I would say this, not to cut you off, but I'm going to say that they gave up 14 points, which is not bad. I mean, they had a few busts, but I'm going to take away, and then you could have it back. Obviously, the pick six.
Mm-hmm.
That's a given. But they also did their job, and then the special teams unit gave up a fake punt that led to the field goal. So that's 10 points right there. So go ahead.
Yeah, it's like honestly, they did a good job of slowing down the run. I know the running back for BYU came in and he had been the healthiest he had been all year. Robbins, number 3, Aiden Robbins. He came in and didn't have that great of a day. I want to say he netted for 74 yards rushing. No, I mean
16 for 74. Yep.
Yeah, that's nothing to write home about. Ratliff, the quarterback. I mean, although he's their guy that they brought in was the second team quarterback, and he posed some things that I was concerned about, especially with his legs. They didn't let him get off too much. I mean, he didn't have like a bizarre, big time breakout game. And passing wise, he only passed for 161 yards. I think it was just a couple of big plays that this defense has been known to giving up. I know there was that big post route in the middle of the field. I think it was on DJ McKinney and Trey Rucker.
Yeah.
But other than that, there was something that I'm missing in that first half defense wise, Clint.
Yeah, there was a couple big runs, and then there was the big wide receiver screen when they were backed up that led to the big post play. But I was going to say about that post play is at some point you've got to give the other team credit. I mean, that was an absolute dime. I mean, there was pretty good coverage. Obviously, it could have been a little tighter, but that was a dime.
Yeah, you got to give him credit for it because he put that on the money. Trey Rucker, I wish he would have jumped on that a little sooner. I mean, safeties love to see that post come from that backside and kind of jump on it and make a play. We've had safeties this year make plays on situations like that, and he was just a step too slow, and because of that, the ball was in the perfect position and it turns into a completion. Another thing, the secondary did look a little lost a couple of times when there was like motions and shifts, especially with that tight end position being moved around quite a bit. Again, that's a challenging spot to be in, especially from that rover position and those safeties. identifying where that guy is, where he is in the formation, how you're going to line up, and knowing what plays are going to come from that spot is a lot to take in that short amount of time. And then all of a sudden they're hitting they're hiking the ball and things are going and the bullets are flying. So it's unfortunate that looked like that in the first half, but defensive wise, there was a couple of mistakes here and there, but I don't think it was too much to like be like,
No,
I
would give, if I was grading, it'd be in the B area for the first half, B minus. I thought they were fine. They were certainly playing well enough that we should have been leading at half. They do a good job. Second possession of the game, BYU's first possession, they force the fumble, and we get the ball after moving it down the field in an instant red zone possession. So, I mean, I was fine with the defense's play in the first half. I was obviously more than fine with it in the second half, but the adjustments have been, as we know, very, very impressive. I'm not sure. And somebody asked me this on Twitter. If we're not doing a good enough job of self-scouting, maybe to get off to a better start in the first half, we're not diagnosing as well as we should what teams are doing against us that's successful, or if we're just not doing a good enough job of scouting and not getting guys in the first half where they need to be. But whatever it is, it was fine for the most part in the first half of this game, and then the second half, those Nardo adjustments it's just taken it to another level.
Yeah, they truly have those second half adjustments. I don't know exactly what the second half adjustments were. It seemed like, honestly, it was just a pep talk from the locker room that got guys playing a lot more aggressively and a lot more, fluidly. And the main player that I looked at was number 5, Kendall Daniels. I mean, I saw him come out of the locker room, and as soon as he was on the field, he was bouncing around. Before the second half had even started, after the kickoff, he comes on the field, he's bouncing around, and I could tell from just looking at him and in his body language. In this program, we talk about body language all the time. So being a part of this program for such a long time, you were able to read body language on the field. And I could see it in his body language and then across the board as well with his teammates, especially the leaders, Nick Martin and Benson and all those guys. Their body language was a different tip in the second half, and you could tell by the way they were playing as well that it translated. So I know that Coach Nardo pulled Kendall Daniels aside, especially with the other Rovers as well. I think Ty Williams and another player, and pulled them aside and said, "Hey, there's some stuff we're gonna do, but I need you guys to be active. I need you guys to be here." And they answered the call. And number 5 definitely answered the call. And I really want to commend him for his second half performance, because that was phenomenal.
I'm glad you noticed that and you brought that up, because I think that there was a palpable difference in urgency and energy in the second half, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I want to read you the series review off of ESPN for the second half. BYU went 3 plays, 0 yards, punt, 5 plays, 19 yards, punt, 3 plays, 6 yards, punt, 3 plays, 7 yards, punt, 6 plays, 15 yards, punt, 3 plays, 9 yards, punt. Those were their drives until the final drive. They went 10 plays, 44 yards for a field goal to tie it up. I mean, that's domination.
That's impressive, man. And it was I wrote this down in my notes. Incredible pursuit. Like you talking about with the palpable energy, like these guys were literally, if one guy missed the tackle, there was another guy cleaning up seconds later. Everybody was surrounding the football, and the sense of urgency was just impressive to witness.
Yeah, I mean, that's the defense. The defense won the day. The defense carried the team.
Yeah.
It's been a much maligned by us about the big plays and giving things up, but when they have needed to be good, I felt like they have been very good. And so hats off to Nardo and that entire defensive staff. You can't ask for much more than that series, that sequence of series for BYU from this defense in the second half.
Yeah, one of the adjustments I did see. I mean, in the first half, it seemed like we were running a lot of man, and they were having some success running the ball in those situations. And I think in the second half that got cleaned up a little bit. Maybe Nardar doing a better job of kind of switching his tendencies as far as when he's going to run zone, when he's going to run man. But after the second half, they could not pick up on that defensive switch, and so that's something that I hope continues going on to this week as well. But as far as talking about the game and getting things underway, you want to switch over to the offensive side, Clint?
I do. I want to highlight because it wasn't a huge Nick Martin game. 8 total tackles, looks like 6 and 2 assists. But Trey Rucker, I mean, it seems like he's so polarizing. He's either on the receiving end of getting burnt, or he's making a huge play.
Yeah,
recovering both those fumbles. He just has a no. He's becoming one of those guys, similar to Jason Taylor. Obviously, not quite the cover guy, but just seems like he's always around the ball.
Yeah.
And those that obviously the play to steal the game was huge, but recovering that fumble in the first first BYU possession also huge. So I want to give a shout out to him because I feel like he gets some hate, and some of it may be deserved, but I got to give him some love for those 2 plays because those were big plays.
You know who he reminds me of?
James Thomas.
Big game James.
Big game James, man. Yep.
Number 22. Big game James, bro. That dude was always around the football.
Always. He was,
yeah. Golly, bro.
But yeah, we can switch to the offense if you want to.
I mean,
talk special teams.
Talk about it, bro. Because I mean, like y'all, they was not helping out the defense at all. Like we go into a position where you can go up big for 14, and we can only come away with 2 field goals. What happened,
man? And you start out. I mean, Ollie takes the ball, runs for 23 yards. Next play, Presley 20 yards. And you just think, oh man, we're just going to absolutely, and then that was kind of it for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't, those plays are scripted. The third down play, I didn't love it. The little kind of play action, get to Presley in the flat, 3rd and 2, throw up, a yard behind the sticks. I'm not a fan of throwing the ball short of the line to gain. But I was really fine with that drive. Something you're not always going to score. You take 3 points on the first series, and that's okay. My issues lie with the second drive, and you get gifted an instant red zone possession. Your defense gets a fumble. It's a must-win game. You can go to the Big 12 championship. You got a chance to step on a team in an inferior team's throat right off the beginning. It's rainy out. Something we talked about. I highlighted on the radio. Starting fast, making these guys at BYU not want to be there, and just the lack of creativity, running the ball. And I get it. You just had a little bit of success. Ollie ripped off a 23-yard run. You want to out-physical them early. Mm-hmm. But 3 runs up the middle and kick a field goal from the 3-yard line is just I can't. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to see it. I would rather us go for it and not get it, to be honest with you. I think you've got a chance to make a statement. Your defense has already turned them over in that side of the field. If you don't get it, they're on the 3-yard line in a hostile environment in the rain. But I would have ultimately just like to see some different play calling. Use your motion, use your guys out wide. You've got a huge advantage at receiver. We had the height advantage. I mean, they didn't have a cornerback over 6 feet. And we've got guys in Jaden Bray and Leon Johnson. We got some fade balls last week that were completed. So I really just getting those 2 possessions and ending up with 6 points. It just set an alarm off in my head. It was just like, man, with the way that the defense has been playing, they've been great at certain points, but they've given up big plays. and it just takes one, and we're down 7-6, and that's what happened. And you're like, okay, all this good momentum that we built up, this defense has worked for. We don't take advantage of it at all. We don't go for it on fourth down. We run it up the middle 3 times, and it just, man, it didn't sit right with me. But I will say this: credit to BYU. I felt like after that first big Ollie run, they had a really, really good defensive game plan. They were multiple in their fronts. Excuse me, I told you that was going to be an issue.
Bear with us.
They had a great game plan. They were slanting a ton. They were going to a bear front, which is 5 guys, and they were pinching. And they had some really disciplined, cutback or edge players, because a lot of all these big runs and as good runs are running up to the line, kind of sucking everybody in and then bouncing it. And UCF did this as well. If you get a good slant on, or if you get a good pinch on and clog up the middle and he wants to kick it, but if you've got disciplined guys there, then there's nowhere to go. And they did a good job with that. And it was a good defensive game plan. And then the penalties, just you're this far in the season, and there were special teams penalties where we were backed up inside of our own goalposts. Offensive penalties where you get something going and there's a hold, and it sets you back, and those are drive killers. That's what we call those, drive killers. It was just a very unprepared first half from the offense. That's the way, the lack of focus, unprepared. We have the fourth down play, and I just watched it. I'd put 85% on it. Alan Bowman went the wrong way. I've seen that look. I've made that look before. They zoom in on his face afterwards. The offensive line, the way it's going, just
Ben, I want to talk about that. What was up with Alan Bowman in that game? Like, it just seemed like he was off a lot, and it wasn't just the first half. I want to say in the second half, there was some throws there that the wide receivers were coming up big and making him look right in situations where the ball and the placement and everything, like he just, the weather, I don't, what was it in your opinion, Clint? Because you could see it in his eyes a little bit that the things were not going his way and he was a little off.
Yeah, when it starts rolling downhill, and then your most recent memory, I will be the first to tell you, I hate throwing the ball in the rain. I hated playing in the rain. I didn't mind being in the rain physically. I hated throwing the ball in the rain. So I understand what he's going through, but his most recent game was obviously UCF in the rain, which is not a great game.
Yeah.
And then you get some of those miscommunication things, and it's just like, man, how do I get back on track? And it's raining, and you're like, okay, let's get some easy completions. The ball's wet. You may have a bad throw, and it just kind of compounds itself. But man, those back-to-back throw plays where he goes the wrong way on the handoff, and then the next play, I think he was on the field, was the pick six.
And let's make the correction here, okay? Because we're privy to some information that some people are. I don't think that wasn't Bowman's fault on the pick six.
Go ahead. So
I don't think it was Bowman's fault on the pick six. I think there was a miscommunication between him and his wide receiver on the outside. I think that he thought it was a double move. It wasn't supposed to be a double move. And luckily enough for BYU, their corner was sitting back there and he was paying attention, and he was rewarded for it. But I don't think that was Bowman's fault.
I agree. I think it was more so
Yeah, get it out. You're good.
Hold, please. I think it was more so a situation of not being on the same page, more so than him just making a bad read.
Yeah.
If you watch the film, it definitely looks like. I told you this is going to be brutal. It definitely looks like Jaden's running a double move, and it's a shame that we weren't, because he would have been cooked. The corner would have been absolutely – he was playing off coverage. He had his eyes in the backfield. He knew – he looked right away and saw Alan Bowman's short, quick game footwork and just started breaking on the ball. So even if he ran a hitch, it was probably still going to be picked. But just because of how he's playing. So,
but in that situation, though, and again, this is Monday morning quarterbacking on a Sunday night, but why throw the ball right there? I mean, we just had come off an unsuccessful series. You're backed up. I believe that I can't remember. Did they? I think they had just scored on us, but I can't remember what exactly happened. But
No, so they had scored, then we turned it over on downs on the miscommunication. I think Bowman going the wrong way, and then we held them and they punted.
yeah, it
So
was.
we kind of were getting some momentum back, and they pinned us deep.
So it was a good sudden change. I wrote that a good sudden change by the defense. They were
they
able
got
to get off the field. They pinned us deep, and then all of a sudden, a pick six happens. In my opinion, you get put in your own territory like that. And again, Monday morning quarterback. But I was like, bro, we're backed up against it. Let's go ahead. Like if we're honestly, like as a defensive back, what I've always been told, either when you're backed up like that, they're going to run the football or they're going to take a shot deep down the field.
Yep.
If that's the case, why throw a 5-yard hitch to the outside? I mean, I know they're loading the box and everything when we're trying to get the ball to the outside, but like take a shot or run the ball. Take a shot or run the ball. We know Bowman's not having the best first half right now. Why put him in another situation that, put the ball? Yeah, I didn't agree with that play call right there.
No, you're exactly right. The two routes that I would 100% not run in that situation are a hitch and a speed out, like a 5-yard out. You want to run a deeper out where you're getting the corner out of his back pedal, then so be it. But yeah, the play call I didn't love. You've got to make sure as a quarterback, you obviously have to make sure the last thing that you're going to do is make sure you and the receiver know the route. I mean, that's in that situation. I don't care if, the running backs don't know where they're going. I don't care if the offensive linemen don't know who to block. Make sure because you're going to be getting the ball out quick. And it's just Jaden Bray, a guy coming back, fighting his way back from injury. I didn't love the whole scenario. You do have the advantage. Just either call a locked route, call a 10, 12, 15-yard out, and if you like it, one-on-one, throw it, or throw a fade. You've got the advantage. We talked about the height advantage, or run it. I completely agree with what you're saying there.
Yeah, it's just it was unusual. It was weird, and it just made for a bad situation to become even worse from that aspect. And then just so we can keep things moving because this is going to be a lengthy episode, and we got to get to our guest here pretty soon. Second half. The offense and the things that it got to started to pick up some steam, especially coming out of halftime. Those guys got rolling down the field immediately. What were your thoughts in the second half, Clint, and how they made the adjustments and kind of got things on track?
Yeah, I mean, it was another thing where it was a case of the sense of urgency, and I think the energy was different coming out of halftime. It's crazy to me that Ollie Gordon had 34 for 166 and 5 touchdowns. Another game where it just felt like it was a quiet game for the most part. I know that sounds insane, but I was watching it and it didn't, I don't know. But yeah, they came out and
5 touchdowns shocked me. The 5 when I looked,
it was crazy.
I was like, wait, what? Because Bowman mentioned in the post game, he's like, I didn't throw a touchdown pass. I probably haven't thrown a touchdown in like a month now, but we got the win. And I was like, wait, what? We have 40 points. How did he not throw one touchdown? And I look up and Ollie has 5 touchdowns. I was like, oh crap.
Yeah, impressive. And I think what we started to see, what I assume we're going to see in the next game, and God, I'm sorry. I just want to apologize again, listeners. I'm sorry. I'm battling here. It's a flu game, but his team's not letting. They're really focused on not letting this team run on first down. And that puts you behind the chains if you do try to run it, and then they're loading the box. They've got either a run blitz on, a good slant up front, then it's 2nd and 10 or whatever it is, and you're fighting uphill. So I felt like we came out, run the ball with Ollie. We get, I think, or it was maybe a pass to Presley is what it,
that's another thing that I want to highlight. I feel like what you're saying, Clint, they're not letting us run the ball on first down, whatever.
Right.
Getting the ball to number 80, he gets the rhythm of this offense going. He like takes advantage of those safeties and those linebackers with their close splits. You get the ball out to him quickly, and he gets the rhythm of this offense going. And I think that's what kind of got things kick-started there in the second half a lot.
Yeah, the first play goes to him for no gain. And then we come back to him, and it's a 26-yard gain, right? And then I felt like after that, then you started to see Leon Johnson get involved. And I thought he was huge. He's another guy like Trey Rutger. And I want to highlight, he had 9 for 132, man.
Big game.
That's big-time stuff.
Big game.
And teams have decided that they're going to allow those guys somewhat to play one-on-one, and he's really taken advantage of it. But, they just fought. I think that's going to be the key. They fought up front. They had a good game plan. The drives weren't pretty in the second half. I did the defensive drives. Oklahoma State went four plays, 64 yards, touchdown. Then we had 9 plays, 41-yard punt, 6 plays, 20 yards interception. And then we got another touchdown. So it was up and down. It was pretty ugly. As an offensive-minded person, when it's in the rain like that and a team is making you one-dimensional, it's going to be ugly. I say one-dimensional. Ollie still had 166 yards rushing, but you could see the concerted effort to try to stop him. So you just saw a team that just continued to fight. And I thought the one effort I want to highlight in overtime from Ollie Gordon, I mean, just an absolutely Herculean effort. One of the best plays I've seen. I mean, runs to the left. There's nothing. He's going to get tackled for a 5-yard, maybe more loss. Reverses field, puts his body on the line, jumps in the air. I mean, I can't say enough about it. That was an incredible play. And the other one that he scored on, I do want to highlight this because I think it goes to show you kind of the mentality of BYU. That was one of those plays where they lost contain. So he runs up, those guys suck in, he bounces it out to the outside, and he runs on the sideline in for a touchdown. And they had some really disciplined guys setting that edge pretty much all game. They lose contain on that one play, and you see what happens. So really just fought through it. Alan Bowman ended up throwing for 320 in the rain. Pretty impressive if you take away the brain farts that he had. It would have been a clean game. So
that's another thing to add to that. You got to highlight those wide receivers because, again, like I mentioned, they were coming up big. But Presley, Owens, Big Leon, and Jaden
Josiah Johnson, that big catch over the middle on third down. I mean,
bro, put a man out there and bring that thing back. Oh my God, that was a clutch catch in a tight window. Oh my goodness. Go ahead, Clint.
One thing I want to get to, and I want to ask you about this is man, there's some stuff to clean up on special teams. Penalties, trick plays, and they throw the kitchen sink at you. I don't know how ready you can be, other than the fact that, hey, they're trying to get bowl eligible. We've got this much on the line. Like, they're not going to hold anything back. You've got to know something's going on, right?
Bro, after the first onside kick, you have to know. You have to come into the situation and be aware, like, they are desperate. They will do anything. Everybody has to be on your P's and Q's. Everybody has to be coming onto that field screaming, watch the fake, watch the fake, watch the fake. I was so disappointed in that special teams effort. And it's unfortunate, man, because, bro, the special teams has been on point all game long, all season, most of the season. The special teams has been good. Now, got to commend my guy, Parker for Robertson for going down there on that big time punt to flip the field. That was a good special teams play. But other than that, I mean, missed field goals, mixed extra points, and fake punts, like
the missed extra point or the extra point that got blocked or what, I mean, could there have been something that would have happened that could have been more heart-wrenching than that? If we happen to lose, with Alex Hale being an absolute stud for us,
right?
Man, that was brutal. I do want to highlight another guy before I know this is going long. We got to get to our guests, and this is going to be the last thing I highlight. On that fake punt, that dude was like 6'6", 270 or something, running down the field, and Brennan Presley stands there Dude, I mean, if you watch it on the game, he like puts one foot back. He's like, man, I'm about to get,
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna get rocked.
it was like Captain America and Endgame standing there against Thanos' whole army just by himself. I was like, man, he's just standing there. This dude's running full speed at him. Oh, shout out to him for standing there, man.
For real, bro.
That takes some, you know what? So I just wanted to.
Someone tried to hurdle him, and he was like, "I'm just."
He could have ran him over. It would have been like a bug on a windshield, and he tried to jump over. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he regrets that. But another thing to highlight, though, before we get out of here and move on to our guest, gotta give it up to Rashad Owens, man. We heard about the halftime speech, and I wish OSU Max would have had some cameras in there at halftime. I know Coach Gundy doesn't really allow any cameras in there at halftime or anything like that, but for Rashad Owens to stand up in front of the team, get on top of Coach Gundy's soapbox and speak genuinely and sincerely to the team and get those guys' minds right and refuse to let this team kind of roll in and let up and throw in the towel. Man, I shout out to him. Thank you for saying whatever you did. And I don't know if anybody will ever be privy to that speech other than the individuals that were in that locker room. But whatever you said, bro, thank you.
It works, man. We talked a little bit about the energy and that the team came out with on the second half. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it was noticeable. That energy was noticeable second half, and they needed a little kick in the butt like that.
Well, if we didn't have enough excitement for you guys, we also have a special guest to talk with us this evening as well. One of our favorites, one of our former teammates has decided to join us. His name is the one and only Kevin Peterson from Wagner, Oklahoma. Number one in the program and number one in your heart. What's up, KP?
What's going on, Deion? What's going on, Clint? How y'all doing?
Oh man, I'm doing good. This cough is gonna probably make a lot of you people really annoyed on this show. So I hope I don't annoy you, KP. I appreciate you coming on and joining us, talk a little ball. Special week for the Pokes, man. Special week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, this weather changing. We're all probably gonna be sick by the time 5 minutes after this we get into this thing. So no worries about that.
Yeah. But speaking of, a special week, man, did you get an opportunity to watch the game? And if you didn't, what were your thoughts?
I did get a chance to watch. Anytime that our guys are playing to go play for the Big 12 championship, you got to tune in. So I think it's at heart. You want your guys to go out there and play for it all and get that championship. So I did get a chance to watch it. We pulled it out. I was super excited for the guys. Anytime I'm watching a game, I'm always in my gut. I hate the feeling of watching a game because I want guys to win so bad. I just want everything to go in their favor. But at the same time, it's college football and anything can happen at any point. So you just hope for the best, I feel like.
Which part made you the most nervous? I know for me and Clint, there's a couple of spots in there that really had me like, man, I felt like my heart was about to hop out of my chest. But what part for you had you kind of really concerned?
Literally, I wouldn't. I would say concerned, nervous, a whole lot of emotions. Just anytime a game goes into overtime, I feel like you'd have no idea what's going to happen. So I feel like once we figure it out, okay, it's really who's going to show out the best and really go get that dub. It's really time to see who's going to go get it, who wants it more. So as soon as I feel like that time hit, it was like, okay, anything can happen now. It's a brand new ball game.
Yeah, it was. There was a few parts that I was not a fan of, especially from the offensive side of the ball. What's been your take on this on Brian Nardo and this new defensive scheme that's been implemented this year?
It's been fun to watch. I feel like guys are really aggressive, especially the D line. You see guys leading stats and tackles or having a lot of sacks during games, and just overall aggressiveness that the guys have. That's something that I felt like we had when I was there, and just to see that to continue to flourish with those guys that are there. I know you can test to this, Clint, when you feel like there's pressure in your face at all time. Things don't. Offense is a lot of timely routes, a lot of timely things. It's all about timing. So I feel like being able to knock an offense off their timing is the best part to be able to win in your defense's favor. So anytime you can implement that into a defense is great. And I think that's been one of the major keys in what they've been doing.
Speaking of, I mean, a lot of the success in the secondary room has been coming from the cornerback position. Corey Black, DJ McKinney, and all kind of Cam Smith. All those guys are having some success this season. What has been kind of your takeaway, or something that you've been impressed by those young guys on the outside?
Just that nobody ever quits. I think that's something that's instilled with us. Once you get to Stillwater, just never quit, play to the end of the whistle. And I think that goes big part when you're playing that corner. You never know what happens. Everybody's scheming to try to make you look bad, to try to get in the end zone. So just knowing that you got 80, 90, shoot, when we were there, 100, 110 plays, you gotta play to the end of the whistle. That's the best part, to be able to way to get that W. And I think that those guys are implementing that like crazy all throughout the DB room. I know that's something Coach Duffy preached a lot when we were there. Just play to the last whistle, finish through the ball, really try to get your hands on the receiver as much as you can, and just the overall aggression, like we said, from the defensive perspective. I think that whole mindset really plays well for the corners.
I feel like with the rule changes, and obviously I think the offenses, in my opinion, there's not as many that go as fast as we did. So you're not having to play as many plays as you guys definitely did. So I think that would be something that you'd obviously love. But before we go back in your career, I wanted to ask, because it was senior night. We had a lot of guys walk. What do you remember most from your senior game in that last game?
My senior game was Bedlam, and we lost. So I don't have.
I know the feeling, buddy.
Know the feeling.
I don't have the best memories, so yeah, I know it sucks. I feel like there's a lot of emotions that tied into winning and losing games. So I guess that's why, even like when the game went into overtime, it's like it's been a great game, and if we win, they go to the Big 12 championship. So I feel like there was a lot of emotion tied into that with me as well, for just knowing what guys can get out of the season and what they've been working for as well. So I just can go back to it being it'd be my senior night, and it being Bedlam, and it being, if we win, we win the Big 12 championship, and we fell short. But I could just remember it being kind of bittersweet, because I ended my high school career in Stillwater and played my state champion. Played our state championship game there, and then our last game in Boone Pickens. I mean, we ended it with a loss, but it just kind of bring back the memories of just knowing that the fans that we had there were so great the whole time we were there, and all the games that we had there were so fun and electric, and just so many emotions just overrush you at that time that you just want to go out with a big bang. So anytime that I remember my senior night, it's we lost.
Unfortunately, that's how mine went as well. We lost at home after coming off the win against Baylor, and then it was cold. This game was awful as well, the weather. So that's something I will remember, is how bad the weather is late November. Those early December games that we used to play.
But speaking of, senior night and the very last game, let's take it to the very beginning. I remember that state championship game that you played in, but with Wagner over there at Boone Pickens Stadium. Me and some of the defensive backs were up in the coach's office watching the game, and them telling us that guy over there running around for Wagner is going to be playing for us next year and everything. So that always leads me to my favorite question. How did you, Kevin Peterson, make your way to Stillwater, Oklahoma, as far as recruiting and getting things started off in the orange and black?
Yeah, growing up in Oklahoma, I was always either Oklahoma. It seems like to me and my family, it's either you like Oklahoma or you like Oklahoma State. And I wasn't big on football growing up, honestly. I thought I was gonna be a basketball prospect, but I stopped growing. I was 5'11", so that dream stopped ASAP. And I didn't have hops, and I was kind of quick, but I didn't have any of the intangibles, so that dream was gone. And I started kind of playing football and fell in love with it, and kind of started getting some recruitment, and I just invested myself in that. And I started getting offers, and I actually was committed to OU at first. I was committed to the Sooners until, I want to say, about 3 weeks before signing day. And a good friend of yours, actually, Devin Hedgepeth, D-Hedge, I remember he had those Achilles injuries, and he ended up having another one, and the spot opened up at Oklahoma State, and they ended up offering me. And I kind of, in my mind, always wanted to stay close to home, but I didn't invite too many out-of-state things, and I actually committed to Oklahoma, but I hadn't checked out Oklahoma State a lot. So I was like, let me go take an official visit and kind of at least get familiar with them, because it's a big decision. We're going to be going for college and stuff. And took my visit, and I fell in love with it. Just the vibe, just the family the family orientation, it seemed very family orientated when I was there, just from the coaches, the staff, the campus, just everything that was there. Just my family, when we got back to the hotel room that we were in, they were like, this seems like us, really. It seems like more you. And so then I got home, and probably about 2 or 3 days later, told my parents, yeah, I think I want to flip my commitment, and had to make probably the hardest call I ever made in my life to Bob Stoops and tell him that, hey, I'm decommitting, and that I was actually going to Oklahoma State. I felt like I had to tell him I was going to Oklahoma State. And yeah, no, it's kind of leading up how I got here. So I know it was kind of a weird ride being a small town Wagner kid, decommitting from Oklahoma and going to Oklahoma State. I caught a lot of flack for that, but I feel like it was one of the best decisions I've made.
Yeah, you don't. I could probably bet that Bob Stoops can count on one hand, maybe even less than 5 fingers, how many times somebody's called him to say I'm decommitting to go to Oklahoma State. So that's pretty cool. What was your first impression? And obviously we were there at the same time, so we kind of know how it went. But what was your first impression of those summer workouts with Glass and your first time getting in and kind of mixing it up with the guys?
Yeah, it was a big slap in the face because they say when you go to college, you really gotta work hard and you really gotta prepare yourself. But I don't know if anybody can prepare yourself to get in the weight room with Coach Glass. I'm retired and stuff, and I said I'm gonna try to work out and try to do some of those same programs that he had, and that's I feel like that's impossible to do it without him there telling you to do it. So
Yeah,
my first years getting there, it was just fun to be able to see. But like I said, I hate to say small town guys, but you're not around as many, like you said, guys who are just athletic, bigger than you, stronger, faster. Guys like you, Clint, who could throw the ball 100 yards. Deion, guy, you were twice my size and just as fast as me. So just seeing that athletic ability and just seeing the amount of people around you that have that same dream of you, that wants to go, the same dream is that wants to go play, wants to work hard, and also taking classes and has family and a lot of other side things that's going on. So it was just a whirlwind of things at first, but I feel like Oklahoma State really, and like the guys like in the locker room, really are able to calm me down and be like, hey, this is your home for the next few years. So just settle in and just go through it, because it'll get better. It'll get better, especially the workouts.
Yeah, that's true. You kind of have to kind of brace yourself in from that aspect, especially when you come in the summer and kind of be like, man, I'm going to have to do this for like 4 or 5 years. This is intense. But one thing I got to commend you on, KP, is when you came into the program when the summer workouts were over and we went into fall camp, you and your buddy down there, and your jersey's right next to you over there, Ashton Lampkin.
That way.
You two came in with a different mentality that I've ever seen any freshman come in. Like literally, when you two came and touched the field, you guys changed the mentality of the whole defensive back room, because all we kept looking on film was these young guys getting it and getting after it and hustling and just putting in so much work and wanting it so bad. I remember, like, I think at one point Ashton like broke his finger in the middle of camp in his freshman year, and he looked at the trainers and just waved them off. He's like, wrap it up, let's go. I'm not coming off the field. So like, what was that about, man? Like, where did that mentality come from? And is it something that you guys talked about, or was it just you being from Wagner, Oklahoma, just that's all you knew how to do, is all you knew how to play the game the way?
I think it was a mix of things, because I know at Wagner they definitely teach you, you want to win. You know what I mean? No excuses. At the end of the day, there's one winner and one loser, so you can have as many excuses as you want. And I feel like Ashton was bred the same way, coming from Fort Worth. And then you guys just coming off a Big 12 championship, and we were the only two defensive backs to come into the program that year as well. Like there weren't any other safeties or anything like that. So I feel like it was a sense to prove ourselves, because I feel like the offense was great and hot, and that was the biggest challenge for us, was if you want to see how good you are, it's one of the best offenses you can go against at this time. So you got to step up to the plate to really see how good you are. And on top of that, we had great defensive backs in the room already. Guys like Justin Gilbert, Broderick Brown, Daytwan Lowe at safety. And so it was just really just feeling like, okay, we got to prove ourselves every single day. And on top of that, y'all have been in the weight room program at least. So if you seen y'all's body and our bodies next to each other, you'd be like, you guys got a little ways to go. So, I think it was just a mentality that once you get there, you really gotta hit the ground running, because y'all were already hot. It wasn't like the program was rebuilding, or or anything was happening to where it was okay. We really got to step it up. You either got to get along right now, or you're gonna get left behind. So I felt like it was just a corporation of everybody really just bringing us along.
I'm glad Deion asked you about Lamp, because that's the thing that I remember is it felt like you two were always together, and I don't mean that like physically all the time. It just, when I think of cornerbacks and I think of you, I think of him, and when I think of him, I think of you, and it seems like kind of a unique relationship to play that position with the guy that you're close to. Because did you guys feed off each other? Were you guys constantly, trying to be the guy who got targeted less in games? Like, hey, they're not throwing at me because they know what's up, or like, what did you guys use that to motivate each other a little bit?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, anytime I feel like when your friend is out there and you're confident and that's what you want to do, it's like, okay, here's you and your best friend. If y'all go out and watch a movie together, if y'all are going out to hit some golf balls or anything, it's just a competing thing. You just wanting to compete. And I feel like if you're doing that at the Big 12 against other offenses, you want to do the best you can. And I feel like with Ashton and myself, when we came in, we were both some of the most competitive guys we knew at that point, and we were also thrown into the same position in a room that was competitive. And so I felt like it was just more of a, okay, let's see how far we can go. Let's see how the heights we can reach, because again, I felt like had to prove ourselves day in and day out, because the guys we were going against were guys who could go on to the NFL and play, and guys who could test us. Like I said, were faster than us, stronger than us, better than us in all the aspects that you can think of, from being a little high school kid going to, okay, now we're going to college with some grown men who just got a hard piece of hardware last year. So, I just felt like it was definitely just a testament to be like, hey, we're here now, and okay, we've been in the weight room, we've been working out, we've been in practice field, but okay, now game time, we're getting on the field a little bit. We just always wanted more. I felt like we were never satisfied with what was going on, and I feel like that carried over on to my freshman year, sophomore year, and even trickled on to more of the guys that came in after that.
Yeah, it certainly did, start y'all on a very good path. And I guess this is the part of the interview where we started asking some of the, the common questions that we asked the former players. And what were some of your favorite memories, playing at Oklahoma State? We talked about some of your teammates and some of the friends that you've made along the way, but what were some of your favorite memories on and off the field?
Some of my favorite memories. I would say my favorite memory of home games is the movie before the game. I was telling my wife earlier, I don't know what it was. It just felt like we were at a whole different place. You just go eat that dinner before the game, and everybody's relaxing, just having a good time. And then we go see a movie, getting popcorn, and then you go into the hotel and hanging out. It just felt like it was you just with the boys for a night before you go into go to war the next day. And it didn't even feel like we had a game the next day a bunch of the times.
Yeah.
It was just so relaxing. So I just remember that being one of the things I look forward to a lot, was you could go and spend some good times with the guys before the game. And kind of on the field, I can remember it's kind of the same thing. It always felt like it's a job at the end of the day. You want to go out there and win, but at the same time, you knew guys off the field as well. You knew what they had going on at home, not at home, but you knew what classes they were going to. You knew like kind of the family stuff was going on. You were in the lockers with them. You were in the dorms with them. So you're really spending all your time with them at all. But then once come game day, that's kind of the time y'all get to really celebrate what you've been doing. It didn't seem like it was a task to go out there and play. It felt like more like, okay, this is the opportunity we've been waiting for. We've been working out. We've been going to class. We have a whole lot of other things going on, but this is the time we really get to go and shine and be whoever we want to be out there. And so I think just the walk, getting taped up before games, talking to guys before games, and just really just seeing the vibe and just having the relationships and just the locker room. I feel like the more I'm talking about, it's the locker room. The locker room is I feel like the memories is you get, because there's just so many opportunities, so many times that you have to just have fun and build a relationship with guys.
Yeah, games go by so fast. There's so much adrenaline. You remember a lot of it, but when it's slowed down and you're in the locker room talking to the guys, that's what I remember as well. And I'm surprised you're kind of the first guy that's mentioned the movie night. Movie night was awesome.
So
relaxing. You got the escort to the theater. People are standing in line. You get to walk in, go to your own theater. I mean, the absolute best. Excuse me. What was one of the guys, maybe, or the offensive player, maybe not necessarily receiver, I'm going to put you on the spot, that you really enjoyed battling against, either for Oklahoma State in practice or somebody that you went against in a game?
I always tell this to people, and I feel like I can pull up an interview of me saying this. I felt like I brought my best in practice because there were so many guys that test you throughout practice. I think Coach Dunn and the offense always did a great job of getting guys ready for games because if you didn't come out ready to compete every single day, you're gonna get embarrassed. I felt like my job was on the line going out to practice every day. So when I first got there was guys like Tracy Moore, uh, uh, Chucky Love,
Chucky
Charlie
Love.
Moore, yeah.
Charlie.
I don't know if Aitman was there when you were.
Yeah,
he
Marcel.
was
I was trying to.
Marcel.
Think of the older
he was
guys.
a
Yeah,
stud.
Marcel, James
Brandon
Washington,
Shepard. Yeah,
yeah,
all those
Shep,
guys.
Juwan
Juwan.
Seals. Yeah, there was a whole lot of guys. Yeah, there's so many. Josh Stewart was there.
Stewart,
yeah, I just feel like there were so many guys throughout the years that was, and even if they didn't get some of the accolades, maybe like in the big, like won the Blitnikoff or things like that, it's every day you had to bring it. And so I felt like I always told the guys before games, we have harder time at practice. Like practice is harder than what we're about to go out here and do right now. So let's go have some fun out there. So yeah, no, it's hard to pinpoint one guy, but I just knew every day I had to come out there and bring it because any one of these guys could take it the distance.
All right, so outside of practice, I mean, let's go ahead and get down to the real stuff, man. What was your favorite game that you were a part of while you were at Oklahoma State?
Ooh, my favorite game. It's hard to pick just one, but I will say that my favorite team I like to play was Texas. I love playing against Texas for some reason. I don't know what it was. I felt like it was always you always had to prove yourself a little bit more. You had to go show them that. I don't know. I felt like there's always the OU and OSU, the Bedlam battle, but I always felt like Texas was always a game that you had to bring it. And I feel like when I look back at my memories of games, it's always a Texas uniform that I see. So I really think that, I think that I can go back. I feel like my freshman year was one of my favorite games because it was one of the first games I got scored on in college. And I just remember thinking, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought my life would be over, but okay, it's all good.
Yeah.
No, we can go back. We kind of brush this off and get back to reality a little bit.
That's that's like for a quarterback getting hit the first time or throwing a pick. You know what I mean? Same thing. It's like, oh, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, like, oh, I don't care that bad. I don't care that, but I don't care as much as I thought I would.
Yeah.
And at times when that happens, it kind of makes you a better player because it allows you to, see failure and come back from it. And also, as a defensive back, when you're out there making plays, the biggest play you can make is obviously an interception or some kind of a turnover. And when you're doing that, you have to take a risk. And to see you fail one time and see oh, okay, the world didn't end. I didn't go straight to the bench and never see the film again. So it allows you to start making plays and taking more risk and being a better defensive back.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I always say that I think that quarterback's the hardest position on the field. Sorry to go past this, but there's just so many things that go into it, and just like the mindset you have to have. Okay, what if one ball is incomplete, or what if a guy misses a block and you end up getting sacked? Like there's a lot of things that aren't in your control. So I mean, it's a whole lot of things that can go into a game field and game. So that's all I was gonna say. Props to you, Clint. I could never do what y'all did. I would never have played football if I had to play quarterback.
I can assure you, as you guys would know, I could never do what you did. I think physically, if you take the mental side of it, obviously that adds a whole other element to quarterback. But physically playing defensive back has always been something I've admired because you're on an island, man. And if you mess up, everybody knows it was you. So I've always thought I've always thought that's something that's really impressive, and that's why DBs always celebrate, even if it's a bad throw.
Yeah,
and I respect it, man. You got to get them in when you can, But I'm glad you brought up Texas, obviously with Big 12 championship game against Texas, and we won't go into too much detail because we've got another show coming up for you guys for that. But what I did want to talk about is being an Oklahoma guy. We're playing Texas this week. OU and Texas are moving on. Kind of what's your thoughts on conference realignment and those two teams leaving and not getting to play them anymore?
Yeah, I know. When I seen the schedule, I was kind of baffled. I was like, why would I can't imagine that happening. But I mean, I understand the world's growing and conferences are changing and universities are doing what's best for them and stuff. It's my personal thoughts about it is I love playing Texas and I love playing OU every year. It just seemed like tradition. It seemed like a lot of you look forward to those games. And like I said, I think the tradition on it was what the biggest thing was. But I feel like there's tradition that can be built with the new teams that are coming into it. But I do personally feel like it's more of a knock to the guys the people who have kind of been there and played there. They have more passion towards it because they feel I feel like connected to those teams and playing them, because there's a long rivalry there between the records and things that show. So I know there's people that'll be disappointed. I'm disappointed that they won't play, but I mean, there's more to be there for, like I said, like guys like Colorado coming in and a whole lot of other teams that are going to be there. So, I think there's both sides. I think there's both sides. You can argue both sides if it's good or if it's bad, but I feel like it's all best for the decision got made, and hey, all we can do is ride with it. So I feel like I'm going to be fun seeing these new territory that we step into.
Yeah, there's going to be a whole lot of new territories, a lot of trips to Utah and all kinds of different places.
A lot of personalities coming in with Prime, and yeah.
It's definitely going to be interesting. But before we get you out of here, KP, I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit about what you did after, leaving Oklahoma State. I know you played for the LA Rams and the Cardinals for a couple of years. What was your experience like, in the NFL and playing against some of your former teammates?
Yeah, it was fun. I feel like being able to play pro is a blessing. I feel like there's a lot of things that play into guys getting to that level, and then just staying at that level is really just how much you put into it. I learned quick that it's a business. It's not like a scholarship. You don't have 4 years. Once you get picked, you're gonna be there for 4 years for sure. It's a business, and you could be, especially a guy going undrafted like myself, you could be out there the next day. So it was really just knowing you got to fight every single day to be able to keep your position. And there was some beauty in that. It's fun because it kept you on your toes. It kept you wanting to be acclimated to getting new things, to doing new things. And we was in a new city too. I'm from Oklahoma. Went to Stillwater, and then was out in LA for 3 years. So I felt like it was a brand new experience for me and my wife to be able to go and experience that. And then we were in Arizona for 3 years after that, and beautiful weather too. We had some great coaches. They were Kingsbury, so I was kind of familiar with him with Texas Tech. But yeah, I feel like the NFL is a huge business, and it's fun, and it's everybody's big, fast, strong, agile, smart, and it's a game of inches no matter what. It can be a mistake that you made in the first drive of a game could end up costing you the whole game, and it's just so much that goes on into it. It's a beautiful game, but it definitely wears on you after a while. So, but I think the funnest thing was playing against guys though. We playing against James, playing against Marcel, playing against Emmanuel, just playing against teammates. That's the funnest thing, because it's a whole phase of life, a new phase of life that you're in, but you get to see guys still doing what they're doing. So I feel like that was one of the most rewarding things, was good to see guys still doing their thing.
I was very impressed with not only you making it to the NFL, but playing for as long as you did. And I don't mean this in any negative type of way. But to me, like, when you got on campus, you weren't the biggest, fastest, strongest guy.
Oh.
But the three things that I remember about you is that you got better each year. You got better. And I really admired that. Your footwork was really good, but I felt like the one thing that separated you was your intelligence. I thought you were a really smart cornerback, and then you go on and you get undrafted and you stick around and make it. So mentally, how did you develop such mental toughness to be able to do that when you come from, like you said, you were a guy that, I think you were on the Thorpe semifinalist list, and then you go undrafted. Now you've got to claw your way back. Just talk about that mindset.
Yeah, no, it was tough. It was really tough, because I feel like that was one of the first times I've had, it was like, okay, no, you're not good enough. I feel like I've always been able to, but not just me personally, but I feel like in any situation, it's like, okay, you'd be able to figure things out and find a nuance to be able to kind of get the result that you would want, or like I said, like playing in college football or going to the NFL was one of the first times I've been told, okay, maybe you're not good enough. So it was definitely a hit to me. I ended up leaving. So I was actually undrafted to the Bears, and didn't make it. Was one of the first cuts, and I had moved back to Tulsa and got a job working at Planet Fitness for majority of my whole rookie season. And I think that mentality just really come from just believing in yourself. I feel like everybody can attest to really want something and really believing that they can go do something, and really putting all their chips into it, just mentally, not physically. I'm gonna make sure that this is the only thing that I'm focusing on right now. Just that when that opportunity, if another opportunity does come, or this is what you want to do, then you're gonna put all your chips into it, and you're gonna make sure that you're doing it the right way as well. And I think it was developed over time. I can probably attest a few little times that I've battle through things or like have injuries or anybody really just being able to just see that, it's going to be a tough road to get to where you want to be. But if that's where you want to be, then you'll be able to fight those battles. So yeah, no, I think it was just accumulated losses. I felt like and not wanting to be down, just want to keep getting back up is the main thing.
Well said, man.
Very well said, KP, man. So you've done it all, man. You played, so many years in the NFL. You had success at Oklahoma State. I mean, what's the lasting memory from your football career?
The lasting memory. That's a great question. I would say that the lasting memory from my football career so far, I'm getting into coaching after this, so I feel like I still have the football thing rolling a little bit. But from my playing career, I would definitely say just be a good person. I would say, because I feel like everybody has a lot going on, and football can be you can let it overshadow a lot of things that's going on in your life. But at the end of the day, it's a sport that I feel like all of us that were blessed to be able to talk about, to be able to play, to be able to have played. And I just think that a lot of times we forget that it's just one thing that's going on in the world, and we're just lucky to be able to do it. So I feel like a lot of people take that for granted and put a lot of unnecessary pressure on themselves, other thing that's going on in the world, what's going on around football. But so I just feel like I appreciate the relationships that I've got throughout it and the people that I've met, the biggest thing, because without football, I never would have met any of the people that I've met. So I feel like I'm most appreciative for that.
Man, that's well said. I think if you're online at all, you know that people can definitely take this sport and their own team way too seriously sometimes. So, man, I know Deion feels the same way. I appreciate you coming on and chopping it up with us for a little bit. Sorry that you had to listen to both of us just hack up a lung the whole time, but I hope you enjoyed it, man, and we really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate y'all, man. I miss y'all so much. Like I said, when I first came to Oklahoma State, y'all were some of the first guys I remember being cool and telling me like, hey, if you want to get somewhere, so you got to work hard. You got to do this thing. So it's great seeing y'all guys, man. It feels full circle.
Well, man, I'm glad you took those wise words and made something out of yourself.
Yeah. Hey, if it wasn't for y'all.
Yeah, man.
I'm proud of you, man.
I appreciate y'all.
All right, see you later, KP.
All right, see you, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks again. Good luck with the coaching deal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. See y'all.
Oh, man, thank you once again to our guy, Kevin Peterson, for joining the Old Pokes show. Clint, what'd you think about KP, man?
Man, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I had no idea that he was committed to OU and then flopped. I didn't know that. And to say that, it's not like I wasn't paying attention, but when you're on campus already, it's like I don't pay attention to recruiting. Like
do not.
Somebody would be like, "Hey, we got this dude coming in." I'm like, "Man, that's awesome!" Like I can't wait to see him. I can't wait to see him. I know people didn't care about when, oh man, we got this quarterback from Enid coming in. I bet people were like, "Man, where's that at?" So I didn't know that, but very thoughtful, very intelligent guy. I talked about his IQ on the football field, but one of the really good dudes that I enjoyed being around in the locker room. And happy for his success in the NFL, because he was a grinder, man. He got better each year, and he obviously continued to do that into the NFL.
Yeah, KP was definitely one of those special talents when he was wise beyond his years when he came in. And I think a lot of that was from playing a lot of different positions over there at Wagner. I know they had him at that like wildcat quarterback and wide receiver and running back. They put him all over the field. And so when he came as a cornerback and as a defensive back, being able to kind of focus on one specific position, you could tell he was going to be good and he was going to be special. And he was a fun loving dude, man. He just always had a smile on his face. He was goofy. He was fun to be around. It was a joy to have him as like a quote unquote little brother in that defensive back room. So glad for that he's had all the success, and now that he's like a family man and going into coaching, I'm really proud of what he's done and what he's become. So glad to have him on, and we'll have more guests like that on as time goes along. But speaking of going along, we have more football underway here at Oklahoma State, and that's the Big 12 championship in Arlington, Texas, this week versus the Texas Longhorns. Clint, I've been having this game circled on my calendar ever since we won Bedlam, and I'm glad we made it to the point where we can actually take part in this weekend because, hey, this is a big one.
Yeah, it's huge, man. And the opportunity for this team, I went down to the game a few years ago, and the heartbreak from losing that one, you get another opportunity. You get to play Texas one more time, who is certainly one of the better teams in the country. It'll be a really fun matchup. It'll be a tough matchup, but it's something that I think this team will relish in. Coach Gundy has been really good at preparing the guys and playing Texas, and this will be another opportunity. I'm just honestly thrilled for the players in that locker room. The guys that stuck it out, the guys that when everything went awry last year, people started bailing to the portal. I think we have to shout those guys out for fighting through that. Lost some really key pieces that I can't imagine could feel worse than going to a situation and then seeing this team have the success they did with the pieces that came in through the portal. So just truly happy for the players, because I know I've been there, and you have ups and downs in a season, and this team has had the lowest of lows.
Yeah.
I mean, where we were week 3, week 4, you're just like, to where we are now, it's truly a testament to these guys' resiliency, and I'm looking very much forward to getting Texas one last time.
Man, John Holcomb mentioned one thing in the pregame that was, an eye-opening statement to us, and it's the relentless optimism from this team. When everybody else, has had them down, they've kind of taken the attitude of their quarterback, Alan Bowman, and just been super optimistic about everything that comes their way, and they're just they believe more than you realize. I mean, every time they get down, they always truly believe that there's a shot for them, and they can truly make something happen and be optimistic about what can happen in the future and in the next coming minutes. So, man, it's been a true testament to their will and their relentlessness to kind of get these wins and move along throughout the season and be victorious. So hopefully they can do it a couple more times before this is all said and done.
Yeah, ignorance is bliss somewhat, having that naivety of not knowing, what you should be doing, or you shouldn't be winning some of these games. So, just, man, it's going to be a big one. Another opportunity to kind of take a stranglehold on this conference, right? Second time in 3 years being in the conference title game. Obviously, we know Oklahoma and Texas are leaving. So could be a huge statement for recruiting, for what's to come on a year where we were picked to kind of be a down year after last season. Huge game, not only for this year's team, but I think for momentum within the program as well. So I'm very much looking forward. I'm excited to get to play them that one last time.
That one last time. Well, Clint, we've got a lot more shows this week. I know we got some stuff coming up for you here in the future, and for sure got another episode for you this week on Thursday. That should be fun, where we actually get to break down the game a little bit more. So if you want that information, make sure you stay tuned to with us at OSU Max. And OSU Max is going to be doing a lot of other great stuff along with the Big 12 championship in Arlington. So make sure you guys stay tuned right here, because they got all the information that you want, you need, and some of the stuff that you didn't even ask for, but you're going to want it. Trust me, you're definitely going to want it. Well, Clint, before we get out of here, any final words about BYU, Kevin Peterson, and everything coming up this week?
Nothing about that. I want to say I hope everybody had a safe and fun Thanksgiving weekend with their family. If you're traveling for the Big 12 championship game, please be safe. I hope you guys enjoy everything we're putting out, the content. If you're listening, we very much appreciate it. I know you had to sit through my flu game, but we appreciate you doing so. So be safe if you're traveling for the game this weekend.
Yeah, speaking of, Clint, make sure you get better before Saturday, man. I'm going to need you, Doug.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there.
All right. Well, like we say every week, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I want to thank Kevin Peterson as well. Thank our man Jason behind the board over there running things for us. And remember, guys, stay loyal and true.
Go Pokes.